Hi everyone, welcome. Down here in my wormery and out here on my bench I've got my yellow buckets with the European night crawlers living in them. We might even be able to read it over here on bucket number 4, what it says. European night crawlers, 230 days in service and 13 days since the last check-in and feeding. I think they're probably ready for a little more food, so I have here a pretty good assortment of lettuce. Came out of my freezer not too long ago, so most of it's still frozen. So we're going to start over here in bucket number 3. I've got buckets 3, 4, and 5 running right now, pretty much in parallel with each other. Out here on the top surface, we took some of these heavy-duty double-layer paper bags that the sugar come in, or maybe flour. I can't remember which was used, but this is one of those really sturdy, durable bags, which has been in here for some time now. And since we're foraging now, going back 2 feedings now, we're considering these buckets as being in the foraging phase, which means we'll still come back and feed them, but we'll do so without adding any more bedding at this point. So it's really up to them to work down whatever little bits of remaining bedding type materials might be in this material, although even last time when I was watching the video from last time, just looking at the material, it just seems like these systems have very little residual bedding type materials in them. Even these things that look like they might be bedding materials, leaves or something, these actually look like they might just be the skins off of some tomatoes or potatoes or something, I don't know, but there really isn't hardly anything remaining in these systems as far as bedding type materials. If they really need something that's more kind of in that carbony, more carbon-rich type food versus a nitrogen-rich food like the kitchen scraps they're getting, then they've got that paper on top that they can nibble on. And here's the, where were we? 230 is the age of the systems, and these corn cobs, look how puny they are. It's like you're thinking you're looking at baby corn or something, but these are just the corn cobs from regular old corn, and it just seems like they reduce in size, but they still sort of maintain their shape. I can't remember how many were really added to each system. I do recall us breaking 1 or 2 of them along the way, but most places I believe probably have. Oh, here's another one. At least a couple of these corn cobs remaining. It's almost like a race to the finish to see which of these systems can actually last the longest with bits of the corn cob remaining and show us how long these things can really go for. It's been over 6 months though. During the last check-in we were still just a couple days shy of these corn cobs being placed into these buckets, reaching their 6-month days in service. So okay, lots of worms everywhere. So I do wonder how much longer it'll take before we finally don't see them holding it together. That's kind of the test. If they don't hold together in a kind of a tubular shape, cylindrical shape like that, then they're out. As long as they hold together in that sort of cylindrical shape, I'll consider the system as still having at least 1 piece of corn cob remaining in it. So, 2 corn cobs found, or is this a 3rd one right here? I can't tell. This is probably a piece of one, maybe, or just a chunk of wood, or maybe the stem of a banana peel. Banana peels were pretty prevalent. There was a lot of leftovers of them in here, in all 3 systems, from the feeding that had come prior. Because last time there had only been a 10-day pause between feedings. This time there's been 13 days pause. Not to mention the fact that the banana peels that got put in here prior to the last feeding had only been given 10 days to get worked down. They were still holding together pretty good. So now they're just kind of going at this from a very rough estimate perspective, but I believe that's about 1/3 of what I came down here with for them. And if it's not, then it's probably pretty close. These corn cob bits will just go right back there. I don't know, maybe we're only down to 2 in this system. I'm pretty sure there was 1 system where we definitely cracked one. And at that point, that one was out of the game. We might have even run into that broken piece of corn cob once or twice still, and then eventually just became undistinguishable from the surrounding materials. So pretty good here in bucket 3. And usually when we're dealing with systems that are cookie cutter-ish like these, I'll kind of assume that we're in for more of the same once we get to the downstream following systems. So let's slide stuff over, get bucket number 4 in frame, and see how they're coming along. Very similar setups will be found here. Similar tough paper top coverings with the double bag, sugar bag here. I don't know if it's springtails or worms. Someone's been nibbling on this. See a banana stem. These things are usually pretty popular. I just had a worm pop out when I cracked the skin of it. I had a feeling there would be at least one worm in there. There's a little tiny, tiny worm in there too. Very nice. So here too, I'm just going to take this as an opportunity to till up the material and see how it's doing throughout. I'm pretty sure we got almost all of the contents of the first bucket sort of aerated and loosened up. Well, banana peels, with the exception of the stems, are doing great. A couple little stems are still going to remain. I'm surprised about this piece of cardboard. Where'd this piece of cardboard come from? It's really holding up quite nicely. So here's a corn cob, and it's very much covered in castings, making me wonder how our worms ever going to be able to continue working on it unless they're down inside the thing, nibbling it away from inside. This feels very much to me like corn cob as well, but it still feels so cylindrical in a way. So I dare not crush it. Doesn't that look like maybe we've got one that's been reduced in size so much that it barely even can be identified as a corn cob? One of these days it'd be interesting to pull them out and rinse them off and really see where they're at. Because when they're covered in material like these are, you can't really tell what's going on. Okay. Here too, we're going to go for about half of what remains so that it's a fair split. Whatever, let them have that last little bit right there too. I still think it's a pretty darn close division of the food. Oh man, I feel bad. I heard a little crack as I pushed down on this corn cob. As I placed it into position, for whatever reason, I kind of gave it a little press downwards and I heard a crack, and it always feels like, you know, when I'm trying to deliberately not mess with materials so that they can really be broken down by the bin and not by me and my forceful handling. It's always a little bit of a bummer when you feel like you just put a big crack into something. So they really like this one side of it, right? Let's face that side back down again. Let them keep working it, or maybe we let them work on the other side too. Whatever. I guess we could have flipped a coin and sorted that out in a more diplomatic way, but we're not interested in diplomacy here. We just want to get our worm bins fed, right? So let's get the last of our buckets out here in front of us, and pretty soon we shall be done. Bucket number 5. I don't know why we ended up in buckets 3, 4, and 5. I believe buckets number 1 and 2 might have still been in service with their soon-to-be ending but not quite done yet commission. So that's how we ended up in these buckets. Buckets number 1 and 2 will eventually get back in service, although bucket number 1's handle broke, so I might have to replace it. I think that was a piece of banana peel. Here's some newspaper, it seems, as well as even shredded paper. I'm going to have to blend all this stuff in, because it's not really making a whole lot of progress out here on the surface. I mean, while it's really nice to have bubble wrap top coverings, even ones that don't cover entirely, so we know we're getting good airflow down into the material, sometimes it does seem like perhaps we're allowing a bit more moisture to escape from these systems than we should. Another banana stem. Should we see if there's any little wormies tucked away inside of it? You can see there's plenty of juice in there, so you can understand why they'd be interested in crawling down into one of these things. Oops, okay, let's let's put that thing down before I make more of a mess. Okay, we somehow managed to build little miniature catapults in the palm of my hand when I'm looking at things and having stuff flying all over the place around the wormery, making a mess. So we'll see if we can try to limit how much of that I do. This might be another chunk of corn cob, but definitely not holding together in a spherical shape. It's more of just like an outer arc sort of shape. I believe it's what it is. If I try to break it, no, it's something else. I don't know what it is. So either way, it was soft enough to break. Perhaps without my help, it would have eventually just gone to pieces anyway on its own, but now it's that much closer thanks to our assistance. So we'll always gladly give that assistance with mostly anything in the bins, but usually when I'm running a little bit of an experiment, like, hey, let's see how long it takes for corn cobs that have been frozen, soaked in water and frozen, I believe is how these corn cobs were prepped for worm bin feedings. They're not just plain old corn cobs, they were sort of primed for this special mission to see if soaking them would actually assist in the breakdown process. I think here's a third one I might have almost missed. So some buckets have 3, it seems. Other buckets might only have 2 at this point. I could have miscounted there too. I might have overcounted. And I think I just saw some of the leftover leaves from the strawberry tops that they got last time. Look at that. It's kind of cool how they nibble away the nice, soft, juicy flesh remaining on the tops of the strawberries. And then the leaves remain, and then the leaves will get broken down too in time, but they don't waste any time going after the really easy to eat, sweet and yummy stuff. So that's it for our check-in, everyone, with the European night crawlers in the yellow buckets. Doing quite nicely. I really like this. So now we're 23 days into foraging. Go 2 feedings back since the last time we added bedding. We'll probably be back in here a few more times, giving them stuff that's easy to eat, stuff that's not going to leave leftovers, and at some point we're going to have to start thinking about how to bring these systems to an end. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.